Hey YouTube fam, it is Sophia and I'm here today with another video. Today I want to talk about how to balance long-term hospital stays with your child. So if you are new here, my name is Sophia. Please make sure that you like and subscribe. I've been sharing my journey as a mother with children with complex medical histories. Please make sure that you go back and take a look at some of the videos that I've posted. So let's get right into it. How to balance long-term medical stays when you have a child that's basically been admitted to the hospital. So long-term stays can vary for each person. Of course, no one wants to be admitted to the hospital, but if you have an idea in your mind that you're gonna get out in a day or two, they're just keeping you for observation, that is more of a short-term stay versus there's no real end sight. We are watching and waiting, not sure what this is going to be, or maybe you have a child in the NICU. So those are the long-term stays that I'm talking about. And I think anything long-term, I feel like is anything more than 48, 72 hours, honestly. And when you're looking at, you don't necessarily have an end date in mind. So there are a lot of things that come into what does that look like. Are you a single parent? Are you a parent that has support? Do you have other children? These are some of the things that factor into how do you balance. And based on those answers, your balance is going to look different from somebody else's. But what I want to offer is just a few quick tips on how to balance the long-term medical stays based off of my experience. As you know, I have had 2 children that have had stem cell transplants. I've also had children stay in the hospital for other various issues. So I have quite a few experience of long-term hospital stays. But the first thing that I would say is to breathe. Breathe and breathe. Like, take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out and process what they're actually saying to you and realize, okay, this is my reality for right now, that I do have to stay in the hospital with my child. I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but this is the reality and I'm processing everything that you are saying to me right now. Second thing that I would say is to ask your medical team questions. You are the parent, you are the advocate for your child. Depending on how young your child is or even how old your child is, you are the advocate and you want to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Whether you have medical background or not, or medical terminology, it's very important to let them know that you want to know what's going on. So that could be, if you are able to stay overnight with your child in the morning, they usually do rounds. Let the nurse know, I want to participate in rounds. I want to be able to hear what the details are, what the plan is for the day. Ask them, what do we need to be able to go home? What progress do we need to see to be able to go home? What most doctors won't tell you is that on the day that you're admitted, the process for discharge planning is supposed to technically start, whether that's with the case manager, but the goal, of course, is to be able to get you home. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm admitted today, I'm going to be discharged tomorrow, especially if it's for a long-term stay. But there are people that are going to be working in the background that you might not even see, that's going to be planning, okay, what does discharge look like for this specific patient? So ask the questions so that way you have an idea. Okay, in my case, my child needed to show signs of engraftment, which meant his neutrophil count needed to be at least 500. So once we got to that point, it was like, okay, this box has been checked. What else do we need to do? For somebody else, let's just say it's asthma. your child needs to not be wheezing or needs to be able to go without needing albuterol every 2 to 4 hours. Okay, check, we've done that. So ask the question so that way you're able to understand, what do I need to be able to get my child home and safe? Of course, we don't want to rush the process, even though it seems like it's forever, but we want to make sure that we at least have an idea and that we're not being blindsided by anything else. The third tip that I want to offer is to ask for help. If you have other children at home, I know that it's extremely hard to balance, especially if you have a baby or an adolescent. You might not necessarily want to leave them at home, or even a toddler. What we used to do was we would take turns. If you have a partner, if you're married and you're able to balance that, that's perfect. Make sure that one person's able to tag in and the other person's able to tag out. If you are a single parent, check in with the Child Life Services. There are volunteers in the hospital, and you might not feel comfortable leaving your child for a long period of time. But what I would suggest is, if you're able to just go outside for a breath of fresh air and be able to step out of that hospital environment just to clear your mind and to be able to feel the breeze, it will make a huge difference. And what I've come to realize is that if you are not okay, your child is not going to be okay. And oftentimes children can sense when their parents are not okay and when they're stressed. So if you're able to just go take a walk, go to the cafeteria, if you have family that are willing to come and stay with your child just for a few hours, I would do that as well. Just ask. I know that people are willing to help, and it really takes a community in these very difficult and stressful times. So I would definitely say tap into your resources if you have family, if you have friends, and if you don't, check Child Life Services, check the volunteer service and let them know, hey, I just need a moment to clear my mind. Is there anybody that can come and stay with my child? Or even if you're close with the nurse or you've established a good relationship with the nursing staff, just let them know, hey, I really do need to step out just for a little bit. And I would really like it if somebody just, kept an eye on my child. And if anything happens, please just give me a call. And last but not least, if you are a believer, if you are a Christian, as I am, I would say pray, 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 pray. This is honestly what sustained me throughout all of the hospital stays that I have endured. It wasn't easy. I feel as though now looking back, I was graced for it, but there are times when you definitely feel like you're about to lose your mind. You're like, what is happening? I prayed, I fasted, what is this? But in the midst of it, I really do believe that prayer gives you strength to be able to endure. And it also allows you to know that this is not the end. This is not the end. So if you are a person of faith, more than anything, out of all the tips that I just shared, I would say that that's the biggest one, is to pray in the midst of the storm, is to pray in the midst of the hospitalization. Set the atmosphere of the hospital room that you are in. Ask the Lord for peace and for strength in the midst of the situation, and just trust and believe that He will get you and your child through this. I hope you found these tips helpful in terms of balancing multiple nights at the hospital when you have a child that is sick. Once again, just to recap, my tips are definitely, first thing is to just breathe and process what you are being told at that moment. Like I said, whether it's a short long-term stay, maybe it's like 4 or 5 days, or maybe a long-term stay like 28 days or 39 days, to process what is being told. Secondly, once again, is to make sure that you ask your medical team questions. You let them know, hey, I want to be involved in the huddle. If there's something that you don't understand, make sure that you ask for clarification. I know that doctors and nurses actually appreciate when they have a parent that really wants to be involved in their child's care. 3, as I said, is to ask for help, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's in the hospital itself. Make sure that you tap into the resources that you can to make sure that you are good mentally, emotionally, physically, and that your child is thriving as well, as much as possible. And then last but not least, but like I said, if you are a person of faith, just make sure that you pray. You pray in the midst of it and know that this is not the end. See you guys next time.